Hello, everybody. We're back. We're back.
Hi, Zianda.
Hello. Welcome back.
Zianda.
You can go
Hi,
ahead.
Zianda. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. You can go ahead.
Zianda, I think a lot of people, they've started using the part 2 link because when we went off just now, the other link came up to click on.
We are on the 11 o'clock with link now. Are you saying that?
For me, it was actually quite different. I used the second link the second time.
That's interesting. Because I've clicked on the 11 o'clock one, which is the second one, the part 2 one.
Well, I guess.
Let me just write to them again. Hi, everyone. Thank you for.
Sorry, Zianda, couldn't hear any of that.
So I was just saying that I actually clicked on the second link, which is a part 2 one for 11 o'clock. Were you saying others are still on the 10 a.m. one?
No, it's the other way around. Because I clicked initially on the second link and there were a whole lot of people and you weren't on. So I exited that meeting and I've gone and clicked on the first link.
Hi, guys. Technology. Which link is this one? Second link. Okay, cool. So we're all in the right place. All right, cool. So let me share again, guys. Let me just share quickly the screen. There was someone who was sharing a feedback for us before we got cut off. I just didn't get the name. Can you guys hear me?
First was on the other link. I went on to ask her to please move to the second link. She's doing that now. Oh, there we go.
I'm here.
Hi, Zianda.
Hi, guys. Technology. You gotta laugh it away, I tell you.
I never left.
Is it? All right. Can you guys?
I never left, actually. I'm still in the same place. Yeah, I never left. So I'm surprised that she's saying.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. There was a contributor before we left that got cut off.
Zianda, it was me. It was Bianca.
Great.
Just
stuff.
to recap on what I'd said, I just mentioned that generosity and just connecting with our clients. And the reason why I'm saying generosity is that I'm finding that I'm doing coaching with them on the phone, which is not being charged for, but is actually giving me insight into the sort of support that they will need going forward and potentially products that we can develop for other clients. And it just led me to think of other opportunities, for example, the exchange rates and the world economy and the fact that everybody's in this position. So if we get better at this, perhaps we can even just be an international resource and we can start tapping into global markets more effectively.
Wow. Wow. That I suppose when Bianca, that shows the quality of thinking that you then had after the brain fog.
Yes, after the brain fog and the generosity of Symphonia to just have these webinars for free and get us out of brain fog and get us thinking ahead, and also just the sense of community and knowing that other very, very skilled and very intelligent people are going through the same thing. And then also you guys just being brave enough not to be crappy at this and making mistakes and finding out and that's where the lack of judgment is going to start coming in, is as everybody steps out of their comfort zone and starts practicing these webinars, and we're not all at the same technical level, and just the sense of humanity to support each other.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for that sharing. And you know what? It confirms, so when we call it a brain fog, or the brain took a break, or the brain went offline, that's actually the state of being in the forest. Remember the forest we spoke about? That's a state of, I'm in the forest now. I know I'm in the forest. All I'm trying to do in this session is for us to understand how to raise our level of consciousness, to first listen to self, because it is self that needs to navigate with others. So I'm really loving it, because as you contributing, you are actually linking what it means to download patterns that are older patterns and start to realize I'm in the forest, I'm in a brain fog, I'm in the forest. But I need to know where to go, which is, again, I'm aware that I don't know where to go, which therefore means I need a community of people to help me think differently, so I know where to go. To Michelle's point, because the quality of thinking is what's going to help us create the new world and actually help our economy to be on its feet again. But the system, the country, everybody is dependent on quality of thinking. For us to arrive at quality of thinking, we got to get out of the forest. But first, we have to know that we are in the forest. So that's really what I'm trying to do, is to raise the level of awareness and consciousness to us going inward before we can go outward. So unless there's another sharing that is coming up, I wanted to ask this question with this slide on. We are almost there. We're going to finish just now. Because letting go of judgment is important. Holding the space for listening is critical in the transformation journey, but also observing, understanding that where your energy follows attention, or rather energy follows attention, right? So you pay attention to something, your energy will follow that. And the question I have before I even explain what is on the screen right now is, what are some of the things that are affecting our quality of thinking, and what are we going to do about it? Reflecting on the screen before I even explain it, what is affecting our quality of thinking, and what must we consciously do about it? Anyone would like to answer?
I think if I reflect on what you put on the screen, we hearing COVID everywhere, social media, it's everywhere. So that's where the focus is for the world. So you have to, if you want to listen to yourself, you have to take time to say, okay, I'm not going to be on social media the whole day. You have to take time to get yourself out of that, not focus on it like the world is doing, like everywhere you go is COVID. So you need to be intentional in shifting your focus away from the COVID bad news.
Okay.
Because you don't want to attract that into your life.
Okay. Thank you, Mafelo. Try to avoid COVID news. What else can we do, guys, in order for us to start getting out of the forest, brain fog, brain is on pause, to start to experience quality of thinking, so we can create the new solutions for the new problems we are encountering?
I think we need to focus on the positives.
What would be
everything? In everything, even in the negatives, there's a positive.
Yes. And for example, what would be the positive in the?
I can give a classic example.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
I can give you an example. I mean, just a plain and simple example on our side. In the medical field, even in the environment of this COVID-19 or this coronavirus, there are opportunities for us as a company, you know, to put our products across as solutions to what is happening. So positive thinking, not concentrating on the negative, on what is happening, but thinking of solutions, not even just for now, but going forward. What can be done to assist the country to deal with not only this situation, but others that may present themselves at a later stage? Start thinking forward and saying, what was lacking now? What is it that we can put in place that can help us in the future so that we can avoid situations like this where people run around like headless chickens, afraid, etc., etc. What can we do? What can we offer as solutions or as ways of helping people, removing the stress, the fear, and everything, putting something in place that can make them feel that I am safe, I am covered. This is how we should start thinking, instead of sitting around in this forest and being scared of I don't know where I am, what's happening. What can I do? What can I add? And this is what our company is, that we've come up with things and products that can actually help not only now, but even in the future, to try and change the environment, to make it acceptable to positive things and reject negative things.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Deborah, for that.
Zianda?
Who is online?
Zianda?
Yes, go ahead. We can hear.
Zianda?
I can hear you.
I so resonate with what Tebeko was saying, and I think it's when we talk about shifting, you know, and looking at the positives, it's always about reframing the stories we hold for ourselves, and choosing to reframe it in such a way that it leads us forward and out of the forest. And I think often what keeps me back is that I think I have to be doing something huge to change something, but actually the thing that will keep me moving forward, or at least ignite some forward movement, is to just ask myself, what is the next small step that I can take? What's the next small thing that I can do? And when I look at these figures on this, you know, the chart in front of us, you know, you could either look at the deaths or you could look at the recoveries. And so it's how we choose to frame it. And even if we do look at the, you know, start with that sinking negative thing to begin with, for me, it's catching myself thinking that, and then consciously reframing it for myself, and then moving from seeing to reflecting to an active response. And for me, even if it's a small step, it's a step towards moving out of the forest. And that's, I mean, that's how cities were rebuilt after they were bombed in the Second World War. Any crisis or anything, when there's rubble in the streets, it's about how do we begin to rebuild, and it's usually one brick at a time.
Yes.
And yeah, so it's that one small step and reframing of a story, rephrasing and restoring. And as a storyteller, I'm always thinking, how can we restore and restoring the whole scenario? And yeah. I
love that. How can we restore and restore the scenario? That's brilliant. And also, I thank you for your contribution as well. It's critical. I guess that's why we're having this conversation as well, to say, what can I use? What tools can I use to catch myself? What tools can I use to raise my own consciousness when I'm not catching myself? So I can bring myself back to the clarity of thinking, or positive thinking, or quality of thinking. Thank you so much. Anyone else would like to share? What has been affecting your quality of thinking, and what must you do differently? Taking into consideration, Bianca, you can come through. Taking into consideration the screen that we're looking at.
Sorry, I didn't realize I put up my hand, but I can share something. What has been affecting my quality of thinking is the noise at home with everybody here, and my kids transitioning into online learning. My son is in matric, my daughter's in grade 1. So I've got the stress of matric, and then I've got the transition to becoming a grade 1 co-teacher. And I realized that I just needed space. And so that required me to communicate with my husband, collaborate with him, and just get some space so that I can start thinking. Yeah, so that was it for me.
Great stuff. Thank you so much, Bianca. I just want to quickly read, guys, on the chats. Tammy said, agreed, we need to stay positive. We can't change the space we're in, but we can change how we deal with it. And Arlington says, the wow of this time is equal to what opportunities where, shift thinking, all right? And then Tessa says, every journey starts with the first step. Agreed? Nomapelo says, she's stealing the restory, stealing that one. Let's restore the restory and restory. I like that one as well. And the other comment from ABRL is, for me, having a family member that's been diagnosed positive makes it hard, as she is part of that positive number. Would you like to share more on how you are dealing with that and how it's affecting your quality of thinking? ABRL. Not now, all right, that's fine, that's all right. So I agree with you guys. What I have done personally to shift my own thinking, because I realized I too needed to have quality of thinking so that I can actually solve for my clients and for myself. What I've done in these states is actually to zoom into the recoveries, because I recognize that a lot of people have been tested. Actually, these numbers have changed already. So I've got them in the notes there. So we have 5.350 positive cases. The recoveries are still the same, but the deaths have increased up to 103 as of today. So, and also the tests that they've done is 197 now versus 185 from yesterday. And the reason why I have been focusing on the 2073, I've been asking the question that maybe people like Atemuko would help us understand, is to say, if people are recovering, there must be a solution there. What is helping them recover? Are you by any chance aware, Temuko? Because that is my point of interest. I'm trying to look for how can we help people recover, because we've got 2,000 plus that are recovering.
I think somebody spoke about the media, and I think the media has played a big part in scaring people. I think if we go back to when this whole thing started, there was a statement that was made saying that this COVID-19 will negatively affect a select group of people. And I think if you look at the recovery, most of the recovery are the numbers of people that are your normal, the age groups that are basically younger people, younger than 60 and above puts you in a risk area. People that don't have comorbidities, people that don't have underlying illnesses, people that are normally healthy, have dealt with flu in the past, and etc. There's no reason for you to be fearful, because this thing will then affect you in the same way that a flu would have affected you. You take meds, once you contract, you are testing positive, you're going to take meds, the same type of meds that you would have taken for flu and etc. And it takes a bit of time. It's about 2 weeks, 3 weeks max. You're gonna recover. So I think there's been a lot of fear that has been placed in people. I think there's a lot of other remedies that people have come and have put online, on chat rooms, on Facebook and etc. that have worked for them. There's a Nigerian guy who put a remedy on that he used for his, I don't know if it's his mother or his grandmother or mother-in-law or something, but it was an older person who was obviously in a high-risk bracket. I think they use something like lemon and ginger tea, which they mixed with the garlic and ginger paste, added a bit of med lemon in a half a cup, drank it for a couple of days, and she was fine. So there is people can get cured or can get healed. I'm not saying everybody will. Please don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is that there doesn't have to be that unnatural fear that as soon as you test positive, you're going to die. It's not like that.
Yes.
And that's why you are seeing the recovery.
Yes.
And another thing that I must add, which a lot of the doctors are speaking about, I'm not saying anything against what our government has decided. I think it was brilliant because it actually helped the medical fraternity. But we also need to remember that contracting these things boosts your immunity. You now become immune to these things. And it's a process that human beings have to go through to be able to fight or combat viruses, is that you contract, just like with a flu, you contract it, your body builds up immunity so that the next time you are in contact with it, you are immune.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much,
That's food
Debo.
for thought.
Yes, absolutely. And I actually like, so thank you so much for those insights, because the reason why I put these numbers next to observing and with the emphasis that says your energy follows your attention. So depending on
Yes,
what you are consciously paying attention to, the energy, good and bad or good or bad, will follow that. And so the
exactly.
reason why I put these figures here is to say you've got options. You can focus on how many tested, you can focus on the positives, you can focus on the deaths, but I have chosen to focus on the recoveries because there sits in positivity and potential solutions for us going forward. So again, it is our choice what we choose to focus on and for what reasons we choose to focus on those things. So thank you very much for sharing that, Deborah. And the last one before this system cuts us out, the reason why we needed to download our patterns before the pandemic, it is because we needed to recognize that we are in a forest. And where are we in the forest and which direction do you want to take? That's raising your consciousness. And going forward out of the forest, you're going to go in and out of the forest depending on your context. It is very important for you to suspend judgment, because once you suspend judgment, you are able to deep listening to yourself, to do deep active listening for yourself and for others, thereby creating a safe space for others to converse or share ideas with you, and that helps you to keep an open mind. The reason we're doing that is because we need to be aware of where our attention goes, because our energy will follow that, and energy will follow our attention, right? And so when you raise your consciousness to where your attention goes, you're starting to be present. All I'm trying to do in this conversation is to awaken ourselves. Can we just be awake and be present? Being present means you even need to listen to the languaging of the media personnel. You need, because the reason why we are fearful, it is because of the languaging that they use. They share the very same numbers I've just shared now, but because the intention or their attention is on the negative, that induces fear. But we still have a choice of how we deal with that. So we need to be present. To be present, one, we need to pay attention to what to understand that what we pay attention to, and energy will follow that. Number two, we need to transform the three enemies. The three enemies are judgment, they are fear, and they are cynicism. In order for us to transform and help ourselves with quality of thinking, we've got to let go of these three enemies, which is judgment, fear, and cynicism. Because if we carry those three into the current state and going forward, we will never be able to create a safe space for creation, for co-creating the new world, right? When we are in the forest, we continuously go at the edges, to the edges of ourselves. So we always go into the discomfort. I said it earlier on when someone was contributing to say, sometimes she was saying you have to sit with the thoughts, which is very true. And when we think, following a thinking is a feeling, you also have to sit with the feeling. The feeling is trying to show you something about you that you need to learn. Sit at the edges of your own self and raise your own awareness and consciousness about what you are going through, so you can actually start to learn the lessons. And you must always start with a crack. That's where I said, where is the crossroad? What is affecting our own quality of thinking? Because once our quality of thinking is affected, who's going to create the new world if not us? So it's very important for us to go through all of these things so that we can be present in the state we find ourselves in. Any comments on that one? On what could stand in the way or what you would like to add? Any comments? Any additions? Anything I must repeat? Pleasure, Bianca. So this is really just the sequencing of some of the tools that we can use as we transition from the before pandemic state of being, state of thinking, into the present, to the future. I just want to re-emphasize this. It's all in our hands, literally, but we are dependent on the quality of thinking. Out of the brain fog comes creativity. We need to get out of the negative thinking. Thank you so much for everything, guys. Thank you for being part of the conversation. And thank you. Hi. Who is speaking now?
It's me, Sianda J speaking.
Julie, okay. Hi, Julie.
Julie, yeah. And as you were speaking, I was just so aware, and I just wanted to share this because it's an analogy so strong for me. There have been some amazing little videos doing the rounds on WhatsApp of before the pandemic, what cities look like, and then after the pandemic. And really what strikes me is when I see these polluted cities, how thick the pollution is. You know, a couple of us have been talking about brain fog, but I look at the pollution and I think to myself, now that everything's quietened down and settled, the pollution is lifting. So in a sense, I think that's what I feel called to, is how do I begin to shift the pollution? What do I let go of and what do I choose to take forward with me? And so the analogy of pollution is quite strong. And how do we clear the space going forward? How do I clear the space going forward? And then how do I keep myself from going back to polluting myself or my inner world in a way that doesn't serve me? And in so clearing the pollution, how do I then step out to serve my community and my clients again? Yeah, so it's the analogy of the pollution settling and clearing the air. That sits strongly with me. And so this talk that you've presented this morning has just been a lovely way to speak into that. So I really want to thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Julie. I actually 100% agree with you. Up until now, I think humans didn't think that they were part of nature. Actually, we are part of nature and we have to look after nature. And the state we're in has taught us that very well. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much, guys. And hopefully one of you will host us going forward and help us craft or navigate ourselves towards the new world as well. Thank you so much. Bye.